Hello, everyone, and welcome to AdvancePro University. My name is Ben Hart. I'm a product expert here at AdvancePro. Today, we're going to be discussing a number of ways to work with products in bulk or to involve multiple units of product in a single SKU. So we're going to be covering these three closely related tools in AdvancePro: the kits, the unit breakdowns, and units of measure. And you might use just one or a combination of them depending on what you're going to be doing. The first tool we're going to talk about is kits. Kits are great for selling products as a single and as a case, essentially having a case SKU and a single SKU that both pull the right inventory from the single SKU. You can also use kits for bundling multiple products or for light on-demand assembly. It only applies to how you sell a product. Now, the second tool we'll discuss are unit breakdowns. And these address purchasing a product from a vendor in a full case. So then you're going to divide it down into the singles once it's been received. So this applies to how you buy and order your product from your vendor and how you receive it. So the third tool that we will be discussing is slightly more complex. It's called units of measure, and it does deal with both buying and selling, as well as manufacturing and quantity. So while we're going to touch base on the basics here, we strongly recommend reaching out to your AdvancePro advisor if you're looking to implement units of measure. So the first thing we are going to look at is kits. So we're going to move over to AdvancePro now. How they're going to work and how they actually get set up, these kits. To set up a kit, do go to Products and Item Kit. This is where you'll add an item kit. And go ahead and give your kit a name and a SKU. So kits are a product and will appear in your products list, but they're not an inventory item themselves. They don't appear in your manage inventory window. They just draw inventory from other inventory items. So today we're going to call this the APTU kit, and we're going to give it a SKU. We'll just call that APTU kit again. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and save and next. Oh, we've already got one called APTU kit from earlier, so we're going to go ahead and call it APTU kit 1. Okay, so the next screen, rather than going directly to vendor and pricing info, it's a little bit like putting in a bill of materials for a manufactured item. You have to add components to your kit. So here we can search out a specific SKU or product. I'm just going to go ahead and search everything that we've got, and I'm going to grab the items that go into this kit. And hopefully they're items that we have stock on. So I'm going to grab one of those. And in this case, it's going to be a case of product. We could go ahead and grab multiple items. I'm just going to grab one. And we're going to say it's a case of 10 in this case. So there we go. I'm going to update my quantity. And the pricing info that gets generated is just the sum of the parts. You can put in an adjustment line for any labor that's involved, and we can also put in our selling price if we want to sell by a kit. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and save and close that. You could also use kits if you just wanted to see how many cases you had on hand at any given time, because we can now go to View Products and we can look at our kit quantities. So this stock level isn't a real stock level in the sense that you're not assembling kits and tracking how many you've made. AdvancePro is just looking at the number of kits that you could build based on the quantities of the components that you have. So in this case, it looks like we have just over 2,000 of these component pieces. There's 10 per case, so we have 220 cases. That's how we're getting that 220.7 cases for the stock level of this kit. So real quickly, is how this affects the kit now that we've got it set up. How we actually ship it is if we go to sell it, if we place it on a customer order, we're going to go to customer's new order, just choose a customer. I'm going to go ahead and place our kit on the order. There it is. And initially it just shows as a single SKU, and it will also show the price. Now this might have multiple pieces in it, or it may just have the one as we've got listed. I can go ahead and save this, and I'm going to place the order. If we're short on product, that can actually still create a vendor order for the components. It'll either show can be filled or must must order, so you can actually go ahead and order there. I'm going to go ahead and process this since it can be filled. It will make a pick ticket, and it's on the pick ticket where we can choose to see the components. So the kit itself does not get a serial number. If we are tracking by serial number, we would actually go and pick the component and put in the serial numbers for the component. So this is the main difference between a kit and a manufactured item. But this is one way that you can accommodate for the potential of grabbing several items, whether they be the same SKU or multiple SKUs, and putting them into a box together, or doing some light assembly on demand and selling them at the time of picking. You would be able to assemble. Okay, so now let's take a brief look at unit breakdowns. The unit breakdown is found on the vendor and pricing info tab of any regular product. So here we'll come into view products, and we're just going to choose any item at all, and we're going to go to the vendor and pricing info tab. So here we can choose our vendors, and we can set up how it's going to be named on our vendor orders specifically. The vendor SKU, so if they have a different catalog number than we do internally, we can set that per vendor. If I assign a new vendor to this product, I can define the case quantities that we buy from that vendor in, and that's what unit breakdown is. It's saying to AdvancePro, when we buy one item from this vendor, we're actually buying a case of, let's say, 10. So we could actually specify this out by vendor. If vendor A gives us 10 units in a case and vendor B gives us 12, we can have that accommodated. And as we order, you'll see that actually plays out to our target stock levels as well. We'll divide that out. I'm going to show you that in a moment. So everything revolves around the idea that you're now actually ordering cases. So if you put one of this item on a vendor order, you're going to get a case of 10. When it comes into stock, AdvancePro breaks that down. So we're going to go ahead and close this. This is a very low management, after you've got it set up, way to manage this ordering of cases, ordering of sort of a unit of measure. And we'll get into advanced units of measure in a moment. So here I'm going to choose our vendor. Make sure that was the vendor that we just assigned. I believe it was. Yes, it was. So we can go ahead and choose our vendor for this particular product and place the order for that product. So there it is. Now, if I actually check below reorder level, if I had reorder levels set up, what it would do is it would look at the target stock that we need. Say we needed 1,000, and it would subtract our stock on hand, and then it would in turn divide that number by 10 in this case, because it knows that we're getting cases of 10. So your target level would be in your eaches, and just depending on which vendor you decided to order it from, it would be grabbing 10 cases of 10. Let's go ahead and add that. So here we've got one item on here. We didn't put in a price for this vendor, so I'm going to go ahead and put one in now. Now when we're buying this one for 40, what we're really buying is a case of 10 for 40. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'll place the order. And as we receive it, we're also going to be receiving a case. So as we go to the warehouse and we go to orders to receive, this is actually going to be for one case of 10. So if I take a look at my manage inventory now, right now we've got 39 in stock. When I receive this, it's actually going to go up to 49. So that's what this this real movement towards a unit breakdown does, is it just says when I receive one case, I'm actually receiving 10 units. It applies only to purchasing and receiving. I do have to put in a bill or reference number there, but that is a fairly direct way to set up these incoming cases and working in case quantities. So that kind of covers the unit breakdown capabilities of AdvancePro. Now the last area I want to talk about is the advanced units of measure. So to do that, we're going to come back into our vendor and pricing info page. I'm going to choose a different product. You can see we have a lot of products in this database. So we're going to be working with Kevlar. So we're going to go ahead and open that up. We're going to come to vendor and pricing info, and we have this advanced units of measure button down in the bottom left. I can go ahead and open this up, and this is really where we can set up a unit that we both buy and sell in. And units of measure function a little bit differently from a regular unit breakdown or a kit, in that the assembly of a kit or the disassembly of a unit breakdown into its component pieces is more or less automatic in AdvancePro. A unit of measure, AdvancePro will actually track how many, say, full cases that you have of that product in AdvancePro right now. So the classic way to use units of measure, and what we might recommend using it for, is to convert down a base unit to track items in. So, for example, if you order a particular product in 50-pound cartons, and you want to track by the individual pound, so you would choose carton, and you can actually choose your units of measure out of admin and the units, the product unit management tool. But once you're here, you can go ahead and choose any unit of measure that you've put on that list. We can put in our 50 pounds that we buy it in, and we can choose not to make it the default unit of measure. That's going to divide it out by those 50 pounds. And that way you can track the item internally by the pound, but when you order, you're ordering it by the pound, and you can do this for an increasingly complex system. This is also especially handy if you're using lot numbers or serial numbers for these items, as you will be able to divide things out at the receiving stage, something that doesn't really happen in unit breakdowns. So you can see we've set up this unit that we can, say, purchase in or just sell in, and this unit is a 50-pound carton. Now we can also set if we get a special price, either a selling price or a cost price for this unit in this case, and we can go ahead and add that in. Now, once we do get some special options, and there's some things to keep in mind. So if I go ahead and add this, and I associate that specific unit of measure with a specific vendor, and I can go ahead and associate that in. This is now tied so that when I order from a particular vendor, I have the option of ordering this 50-pound carton, and I may get a discount on it. Now let me show you what that means. Is if I go and place a new order with my vendor, and I go ahead and get my Kevlar, I actually have some options here. You'll see right off the bat it's saying your default purchasing 50 pounds. So this is your carton of 50. Now you may also see, for certain products, you will see this blue icon, and let me see if I can just track down that icon. Here it is. So you can also click on that to choose to purchase a different unit of measure. You might have several set up. You might have a carton of 50 pounds. You might have a bag of 25 pounds. You can have it set up in any way that you might need. So there we're going to go ahead and close that, but just keep that in mind. You're going to see that little blue cube icon showing up in different places. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this, and when we go to receive it, we actually get some additional features as well. So when I come into the warehouse to receive that particular order, I'll go ahead and open that up. Again, we're going to see this little blue icon that means unit of measure. And if I click on that icon, now I can say, do I want to receive it as individuals, or do I want to receive it as one box? So I can bring in those 50 individual pounds and convert that down at this point. So here you can see going into our picking location is actually 50 pounds. And then we can use our lot and serials, and we can assign 50 lot numbers or 50 serial numbers, 50 units worth of lot and serial. So you do have some different flexibility when it comes to tracking and purchasing in those units of measure when it comes to the unit of measure features. So I want you to just be advised, there's a couple things. Please be careful if you mark something as the default unit of measure, as that can potentially revise your bills of material for manufacturing or any kits you might have that use one of the units of measure, and it might adjust them to be the new default, in which case you might have to go back and edit them. So again, if you want to use units of measure, I really advise reaching out to your AdvancePro advisor or tech support for some help with that. So now, this does conclude our quick tutorial of working with units of measure today.